Hello, I'm Rabbi Elton from the Great Synagogue in Sydney, and our personality today is Chazzan Salomon Sulzer, born in 1804 and dies in 1890. Among the several revolutions in Jewish life in the 19th century, one concerned the sound of the synagogue service. In the Ashkenazi world, there had always been a Chazzan, a leader of the prayers, who used the traditional melodies and motifs to lead the service. And over the years, certain other melodies of more recent composition were introduced, but there was no systematic approach to how the synagogue service should sound in a modern context, until along came Salomon Sulzer. He was trained by Chazzanim as a young man, and in 1820 became the Chazzan of his hometown of Hohenems in Germany. But he was so gifted and became so famous in 1826, at the age of just 22, he was called to Vienna, where he became the Chazzan of the major synagogue in Vienna under the chief rabbinate of the city. There he introduced an entirely new form of synagogue service. It's true that he retained the traditional modes of the service, known as nusach, but these were harmonized in accordance with Western musical practice. He introduced a 4-part choir, soprano, alto, tenor and bass, made up of boys and men, and he wrote 2 volumes of synagogue music called Shir Tzion, the Song of Zion, which set the entire service for the whole year, from Shabbat, festivals, high holidays, weddings, and all sorts of other occasions. He transformed the status of the Chazzan, of the Cantor. Instead of just being a minor official or a role which was swapped around amongst those who were competent to lead the service, he raised the Chazzan, the Cantor, to the level almost of the Rabbi. He adopted the wearing of robes and the cantorial hat, which is still worn by some Chazzanim today, and was as distinguished in his own right as any of the rabbis of Vienna in his time. Chazzanim all over the world, and especially all over Europe, copied Sulzer and modelled themselves upon him. And in fact, every synagogue composer to follow Sulzer in some ways copies him, in some ways uses his techniques. Whether this was Lewandowski in Berlin, or the Chazzanim of Odessa, or even the very traditional Chazzanim of deep in Eastern Europe, all of them owe great debts to the style of Sulzer. Many of his compositions are no longer sung regularly in most synagogues, although in his own synagogue in Vienna, he still comprises the backbone of the synagogue repertoire. But there are a few pieces which have become absolutely standard. For example, Ein Kamocha, which is sung when the Torah is taken from the Ark on a Shabbat morning. This tune, which we will hear from the Shar Shamayim Choir in Montreal and the Chazzan Gideon Zellermeyer, is sung in almost every synagogue in the Ashkenazi world, even to this day. Enjoy, and thanks for joining.
Ein Kamocha va'Elohim Hashem. Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor.